While 3 Mile Island was recovering, Mother Teresa was receiving her Nobel Prize, and Sony was launching its Walkman, Keith Krach was graduating from Purdue. The year, 1979. A General Motors Scholarship recipient, Keith received his bachelor's degree in industrial engineering and then went on to receive a General Motors fellowship to attend Harvard Business School, where he received his MBA in 1981. It's no surprise that Keith went on to work for GM soon after his MBA was finished. During his tenure at GM, he served as the general manager of a newly developed robotics division and then served as GM's youngest vice president at the age of 26. Keith left GM to serve as the chief operating officer of Rasna Corporation, a computer-aided design software company that sold for $500 million in 1995, due in large part to Keith's leadership and guidance. In 1996, he co-founded Ariba Incorporated, a leading provider of business solutions software used on 4 million of the world's desktops. In its first 5 years, Ariba saw a revenue increase of $500 million. In 1998, Red Herring magazine named Keith one of the country's top 10 entrepreneurs and named Ariba as the best managed, privately held high-tech company. Today, Keith is president of the investment holding company 3 Points. He received the Outstanding Industrial Engineering Award in 2000, was a Purdue Old Master in 1999, and chaired the Class of 1979 25th Anniversary Campaign Committee. Keith is highly involved in his fraternity, Sigma Chi. As chair of the Krach Family Foundation, Keith donates to causes that range from the arts to autism to children and youth services. For his outstanding leadership, entrepreneurial spirit, and pioneering innovation, the College of Engineering is proud to present the Distinguished Engineering Alumnus Award to Keith J. Krach.
Thank you so much for this honor. I can honestly say I know all of us are humbled, but I am truly humbled by this honor because, to quote my sister who's here, who was a chief engineer at Fox TV, she goes, "Keith, you couldn't engineer your way out of a paper bag." So I am really humbled. I'm really humbled. And I'd really like to thank both my sisters, Diane and Terry, for coming, my mother, my girlfriend Meta for coming back to Purdue with me. It was funny because 2 nights ago, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get this honor, and I'm thinking about what I was going to say, and I wanted to talk about my father, who is really the reason why I became an engineer at Purdue. And so I called up my mom, and I'm thinking, boy, I wish my mom would be here. I called her up. I said, "Mom, I'm getting this engineering award at Purdue." She goes, "When is it? I got to come." I go, "Well, it's on Friday, 2 days." She goes, "Oh, I can't come. I have 100 people coming to the cottage for bridge, and I'm running this whole thing." And she goes, "But I really feel like I should be there because I feel like I'm responsible for you." So she called back like 5 minutes later and goes, "I've made the 12 phone calls. The bridge thing's off. I'll be there." So thanks so much for coming. Sure. We were kidding at lunch today that she should probably make the speech because she never quits. But I would like to dedicate this to my father. He was an entrepreneur. He had his own company. It was a machine shop, and in good times, max employment was 5, and in tough times, employment was about 2 people. And I remember how he used to answer the phone. I used to work with him in the summers in high school, and he would answer the phone. He'd go, "Litco Industries, Steel Fabrication Division, John Krach speaking, how may I help you?" Which taught me about market positioning, which you need out there in Silicon Valley. And he didn't know anything about engineering. He would hardly ever go out in the shop, and he would always say, "Keith, you got to be an engineer. You got to be an engineer so you can come back and build up Litco and turn it into a big company." I'm not even so sure he knew what it was like to take a company public. So he said, go off to Purdue, go study engineering. And so I got here, and I'm thinking, well, what kind of engineering am I going to study? And I remember meeting with Professor Barony from the School of Industrial Engineering. We met with him, Purdue and I today. He's this old kind of crotchety guy. He's still around, but back then he was an old kind of crotchety guy. And I go, tell me about industrial engineering. He goes, it's the study of men, materials, machines, and money. And I go, this is what I'm going to take. My dad wants me to take this for sure. So I did, and it was great. And I'll never forget, probably one of my greatest experiences ever at Purdue was my senior year. There was a seminar on steel fabrication in the School of Industrial Engineering for guys out there in the business world. So I get this pamphlet, and I sign up my dad so he could take a class. So he came back to Purdue my senior year for 1 week, took this class on steel fabrication. It was incredible. I used to walk into class where he was taking it, and I had just taken that class. And he's just, this look of frustration on his face, he just didn't know what he was doing. So he'd always have me come over to the union where he was staying and help him with his homework every night. So, a little payback time. So it truly was a great dream for my dad. I feel really honored, and I really would like to dedicate it. I'd like to thank my family. I'd like to thank Meta for coming. I can tell you what I learned at Purdue has absolutely helped me in every part of my life, professionally, personally. Some of my absolute best friendships have come from Purdue, and I've learned so much in the classroom and outside the classroom. So I thank you very, very much for this honor. Go Purdue.